The big question: OET on paper, OET on computer at a venue, or OET at home. There are 3 delivery modes, and the first decision to make is to pick your mode of exam. I did the OET on computer at a venue. So OET at home is not available everywhere. It's only available in certain countries where there is no prometric, or I believe there's no option to take OET on paper. So this is a newer format, only in select places. So it comes down to, usually people have the question or the dilemma: do I take OET on paper or OET on computer at a venue? So let me elaborate on that. Before that, this is the OET study guide. It's an amazing resource. It lists everything you need to know. It's kind of consolidated, can be overwhelming. You don't need to know everything, but it's a great outline. Alright, so I chose OET on computer at a venue because I personally feel there are a lot of benefits to doing OET on computer at a venue. I'm going to discuss some of the advantages of taking OET on computer. There are 3 modes: paper, computer-based, or at home. So what is the main difference? OET on paper, you take the listening, reading, and writing subtests on a paper, and you literally have a printout and you're going to pick the options or take pencils and shade the MCQs and so on. And for the writing, you literally write a letter in your own handwriting. And for the speaking subtests, once you finish the paper-based portion, you're going to sit in a room with an interlocutor in person and do the speaking subtests while they record the speaking portion. Versus OET on computer, which is what I picked. The listening, reading, and writing is computer-based at a prometric center, similar to how you gave your USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 or Step 2 CK. It's an MCQ based, you will be selecting the answers, and for the writing subtest, you will be typing. And then when you finish that, the speaking subtest, you come back home or a chosen location. It's on Zoom with a virtual interlocutor. So I'm going to talk about an amazing advantage of doing this coming in a few minutes. So the third mode of delivery is at home. It's only available in certain places, not even available in the US, so I didn't even look into it. Available in certain countries that don't have a prometric center, from what I understand. What did I feel are the advantages of OET on a computer? The number one advantage that I found of doing OET on a computer was out of literally panicking a few days before my scheduled exam. So initially, I had my listening, reading, writing test scheduled in the morning at and speaking scheduled at night, the same day. But as I got closer to the exam day, I figured I needed more time to practice speaking. So what I did was I kept my listening, reading, writing test the same day, and I pushed my speaking test. I think it was an amazing decision because you finish the listening, reading, writing test out of the way, and whatever gap you get between the two tests, you can focus on speaking and practicing. And you can do this from the beginning. So when you schedule the exam for the first time, make sure you have a gap of however much you need. The OET booking website will tell you how many days before or after the LRW you can schedule your speaking subtest. So make sure you check those dates. The second thing is the split screen. This is automatically available for the listening, reading, and writing subtests. Versus, I believe, for paper, either you get 2 booklets or you flip back and forth. I'm not sure because I didn't do the paper-based test. But the split screen was an amazing option that was available. The third thing, which I believe is another major reason why people choose OET on computer, is the word counter. This is available for the writing subtest only if you take the OET on computer. If you take a paper-based test, you'll have to count the words or guesstimate it based on the number of lines. So I highly suggest OET on computer. The word count is usually 200 for the body of the letter and doesn't include the address and the signature. The counter includes the total. Even then, you get a good idea, so I think the word counter is an amazing tool. The fourth advantage is you can rearrange sentences, highlight. So it's usually the left side you have the notes, and the right side is where you're going to type the letter. You cannot copy and paste from here to here, but let's say I've written a sentence here and I want to put it in the bottom. You can copy and paste within this side from the bottom to the top and vice versa, and I think that is crucial. It is key because sometimes you want to rearrange the letter depending on the urgency of situation and so on. So this is definitely a pro. I believe you can highlight on the notes, but I found the highlight feature annoying for OET in general because you need 2 clicks versus USMLEs where you're used to just right clicking to highlight. It is available though for those who want it. You can cut, paste, rearrange, meaning you can also cut it out. You can just highlight and delete. All those features are available within this side of the box. You can check the official tutorial where you can practice this. I was in doubt, but I remember going to the real exam and ensuring that this was available so I can tell my friends who are taking the exam after me. Short keys are available, so Control C, Control V, all of those you can use within this site. So these are amazing advantages if you ask me. Versus writing it on paper, your handwriting should be great. You should be able to write fast under pressure. If you make a mistake, you can erase it or strike it out, but then it looks ugly. At the end of this, on the computer, it looks presentable and neat. So I think OET on computer, especially for the writing, works great. 2 possibly minor cons are, there are 2 minutes at the end of the listening subtest, which is only available for the paper-based test. And these 2 minutes are distributed between each section for the computer-based test. It didn't really make a difference to me, so I would not fret about that. The second thing is, like I said earlier, the highlight feature is annoying. Unlike the USMLE exams or UWorld, which we are used to just right-clicking and it highlights on 1 click. Here, for OET, so it's like a 2-step process. Let me show you on the OET website. So I'm going to walk you through the tutorial that's available, or the sample test and the tutorial that's available on the OET website. I'm going to point out some key things that we need to know. Number 1 is definitely this structure of the test. We have listening, reading, and writing, of course. And there's further subsections, listening A1, A2, and then B, listening C1 and C2. So this is a lot of just annoying subsections. And then we have reading part A, and then a schedule break, and then reading parts B and C, and then writing, but reading time, and then actual writing of the letter. So make sure you familiarize yourself with this, especially the time that's available. Because if you notice, the A1, A2, B, C1, and C2 are all grouped into the 40-minute window, approximately, depending on the audio, of course. And then the reading part A is 15 minutes. Then you get a break. The critical thing is reading parts B and C. They're bundled together within the same 45 minutes, and they have no separate page break. So you'll see what I mean in a few. As I said, one of the advantages of OET on computer is definitely the split screen. Prometrics will have this preset. I believe you can highlight, but for example, for USMLEs, we just press and drag the right mouse button and it would highlight, right? But here, you press and drag on the text, then the highlight pop-up comes up, you select. So it's like a 2-step click. For someone like me, I found it annoying. Maybe it's not that bad for you, but yeah, I was so used to just single right click and highlight, but here I had to do 2 clicks. So I found that annoying, so I didn't really use the highlight feature as much on my exam. There is a rule out function. This is straightforward. Right click is rule out, so that was good and definitely useful. And as I said, this word count was critical. So you see how it counts the words. So this is not available on the paper-based test. Another thing, if you notice, let's say you have all this written. Let's say I wrote lab values at the bottom, but now I want to shift it to the top. You can Control C, Control V from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom, and vice versa. And I think it's a huge time saver. because a lot of the times I used to rearrange my sentences. So this you cannot do on the paper-based test. So that's one amazing feature, advantage, or two advantages right here. One is the word count, and the second is the fact that you can rearrange your sentences, you can highlight and just delete it, and you know, the usual keyboard shortcuts do work here.
Occupational English test. Sample test 2. Listening test. It's 13 to 24. You hear a hospital neurologist talking to a new patient called Kathy Tanner. For questions 13 to 24, B.
I'm just skipping through, but please make sure you go through everything to familiarize yourself, which you will by as you get closer to the exam. So this reading part B and C, as I said, is clubbed together for 45 minutes timer if you see. So we have to manage time here, and that's very important. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are reading part B, and reading part C is the next one, which comes with a split screen. But if you notice, it's the same time window. And this is a lot of reading, so you have to manage your time extremely well for reading part B and C. And C has, again, part C has text 1 and again a text 2. So yeah. So now we're starting the writing portion with the introduction, and we get a 5-minute reading time. And then as you see, you cannot type in the first 5 minutes. You can only read, and yes, you cannot even highlight in the first 5 minutes. That also gets enabled only when you finish this 5-minute reading time. And then the 40 minute start. If you skip the reading time, it does not mean it's going to get added to this. So please use your full 5 minutes to read the case notes. So yeah, once this writing time actually starts, you can highlight the text. I didn't spend much time highlighting it. Something that you think you'll forget, then highlight it. Otherwise, you can keep going and start typing. So another tip is to do the date, the address. Finish this first and then start typing the body of the letter. Again, this is an advantage if you choose OET on computer, because I don't know how you do that if you are doing it on paper. Finish the date, address, dear doctor, regarding, and yours sincerely, a doctor, because you get points for that. And then you start typing the body of the letter, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and so on. And then again, if you choose to cut paste from top to bottom, you can rearrange it, and that's the best part. You can put it up here in body 1, and you can bring a sentence on top to the bottom. You can delete it, you can highlight and delete an entire sentence, so you don't have to do it one by one. So all these features are available if you do OET on computer. That's it. This concludes the video on pros and cons of OET on computer and the tutorial. Hope this helps. All the best.